I want to share with you what I feel to be an extremely underrated copywriting skill, an extremely underrated copywriting skill. And I think part of the reason that this skill is so underrated is when you read copy from someone who has this, when you read a sales letter or a longer selling message or even just an email from someone who has this skill, the skill becomes invisible. Like the skill that I'm going to teach you about, when it's performed best, is just not seen at all. It's not recognized. It's not thought about. It's not whatever, right? It's invisible. But when someone doesn't have this skill, it becomes very visible in their writing. And I've reviewed copy from all sorts of novice copywriters over and over again, and it's always so obvious when this skill is not at play. However, when I review copy or when I see copy from someone who really they have their chops, I never even think about this. And so let me tell you what this skill is. This skill is structured thinking. Structured thinking. Structured thinking. That is the ability to put together the message that they want to say, either in their head or on paper beforehand, or even for some folks, some of the times when I'm writing, it just comes out of me. I don't have to structure it beforehand. But if I miss on this structured thinking, I have to go back and I have to fix it. I have to change it. And what does this mean as a copywriter? Well, what it means is that one idea naturally flows into the next, and each idea builds on the ideas that came before it, such that you are taking the prospect down this path from having no awareness, no understanding of whatever it is you're going to present to them through your selling message, and building on their beliefs, creating a sequence of beliefs, which I've referred to in a different video of mine that's very popular, about Dan Kennedy's sequence of beliefs. Building on this sequence of beliefs and taking the prospect from this place of not in a place where they're coming to the point where they're going to buy the product, and taking them from that place and taking them all the way through whatever path they need to go down to the point where they do become ready to buy. And if I think that this is something that you need to practice. And at first you need to practice it very consciously. So for example, what you can do is you can sit down with an outlining program like Workflowy, or you can sit down with an outline in Word or whatever document you're using, whatever program you're using to write your copy, and you just outline what you want to say. And each thing should make sense. It should make sense. It should be point A, point B, point C. It should build on itself. It should flow naturally from one idea to the next. It should always feel like it's connected. And importantly, for copywriting, it should feel like it is always connecting back to your prospect and to that fundamental sales question: what's in it for me? Why is this relevant? Why should I care? Why is this important? And so you structure this, and you can structure it consciously in the beginning. You can practice by making an outline. Here's what I want to say first, then this, then this, then this. And then you write your copy from that outline. And then later you might get better and you might do it more automatically or subconsciously, right? But even then, you should be able to take any piece of copy that you write, whether it's something small like an email or Facebook ad or something like that, or something much longer like a sales letter. And you should be able to go back through and you should be able to say, this chunk of copy is accomplishing this thing. It's conveying this idea. This chunk of copy is conveying this idea. This chunk of copy is conveying this idea. And that you should be able to, in reverse, put an outline to the copy. And it should be crystal clear as you go through, this idea, this idea, this idea, this idea. And it's presented in maybe a more conversational way, or it's not as direct and delineated as it would be in an outline. once it is actually in that final product of copy. But it's still that same fundamental thing that, like, if you can't make a clear outline of your message, then your copy is not going to be nearly as coherent and readable and effective as you want it to be. Whereas copy that is able to make a clear outline, like this point, this point, this point, is going to communicate clearly to the reader. And that clarity is the first step towards response. Now, of course, you have to have a good offer and a good product and a good message. But if it's not clear, it doesn't matter how good your offer and your product and your message are. Like, if you are not being crystal clear and you have that structured thinking, it doesn't matter. On the other hand, you know, if you even if it takes sitting down and outlining everything that you need to write before you actually write it and turn that into copy, well, that's what it's going to take to be a better copywriter. Now, I actually do this like on a shortcut basis in all sorts of programs that I do. And honestly, like, as I think back over the course of my copywriting training and my marketing training, like, one of the things that I do most is I actually hand people structures and templates for different types of copy, where I'm not giving you like swipe files of like, oh, copy this headline or copy this story or copy whatever. I'm saying this is the underlying structure of this type of message. And if you want to write this type of message, or you have a situation where writing this type of message can be an advantage, then use this structure, use this template. So like the story selling masterclass, over a dozen stories in there where I break down the exact like behind the scenes structure of that, the structured thinking behind how to use that story and why and where it fits in the selling process. High velocity copywriting has a mix of different templates based on the three big idea types that really all effective direct response copy adheres to. It's either a 10x opportunity, an urgent problem, or an imminent prediction that will lead to a 10x opportunity or an urgent problem. And high velocity copywriting teaches you the structure of a selling message based on any of that. Or like even something as simple as my email copywriting prompts that I did a few months back as a monthly insiders call. Like, that was all about like, this is prompts for the type of thinking that goes into specific messages. And that's less templated, but it's the same thing. It's like, this is the structured thinking. You don't just like sit down with a blank page and just write whatever's on your mind. You sit down and you say, this is the kind of idea that I want to convey. How can I convey it? And then maybe, you know, if it is just a prompt, you have to create the milestones on that path. You have to create the different steps that you're going to have to go through. Whereas if you have something like high velocity copywriting, like, those entire templates are there, that entire structure is there. And the more that you can structure your thinking, again, for whatever message you want to convey, the more effectively you'll communicate and the more effectively you'll persuade with your copywriting. So that's why I think that structured thinking is, you know, it's probably the most underrated copywriting skill. Again, because it's completely invisible when it's doing the right thing, when it's working. You just read the message and you're like, whoa, I get what this person is saying to me. But if the writing isn't based on well-structured thinking, you're like, I'm kind of confused, and it's very obvious, right? That the thought process wasn't structured going into the writing. So that's my recommendation to you. Think more about structured thinking and how you can make sure that every message you put out is based on a coherent and clear structure, so that your sales message and the offer you're trying to get across, it actually has an opportunity to shine and isn't lost in the confusion of unstructured thinking. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below on a scale of 1 to 10 how valuable you found this as a recommendation and why. Like, what's your big takeaway? How is this going to impact the way that you write copy going forward? Click that like button before you go so you get more content like this delivered to you. And so the magical algorithms of the internet will share it with people like you who will find it valuable. You can certainly share it with folks directly, and subscribe before you go. Subscribe here. Also subscribe at breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com. Get my daily emails Monday through Friday. I try to make sure that there's some structured thinking in each of those emails. Plus, you'll get exclusive content for email subscribers. And hey, if you want access to all that training for copywriters, story selling masterclass, high velocity copywriting, my monthly insiders call, and like all of the training, over 100 hours of training content, it's available through BTMS Insiders, which there's a link in the description for that as well. It's a training library. You pay one low fee per month. It's like, Netflix or Hulu, but it's marketing training. You get instant streaming access to everything, and it's an incredible, incredible value, if I do say so myself. My name is Roy Furr. Again, this has been a video issue of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. I always aim for that 10 out of 10 value. I hope that I've delivered it here, and I look forward to seeing you again in your next video issue. See you soon. Bye.